A very good morning to you today. This is Totally Beads, and today we're going to be making what I've called trilogy. So it's a triple knot, triple love knot. They're really lovely components made from a little bit of wire. The wire I'm using today is a 1mm wire, which is an 18 gauge. I'm going to be using some memry wire as well, which is a tempered steel, so it holds its shape. It's going to give us structure to the bracelets. We're going to be using lots of lovely beads, 2 sizes of spacer, and we're also going to be using some like glass beads, which are like a marble effect. We've got lots of lovely colours, and you can choose from 3 in the gold colourway or 3 in a silver colourway as well. So a very good morning to you all. Good morning to Carol, good morning to Jan, hello to Fairness Born. She says she's in a cold and wet Barrow. Jan is in a dull Sudbury. Carol's just saying hello. I'm not sure what the weather's like with Carol. Today it is, I've not been out. I haven't done the school run. We've had doctors and walking and all that jazz. So it looks really cold. It looks like it might snow. The sky is very white, and yesterday it was bitterly cold. So whatever you're doing today, wrap up warm, keep safe, and get making. So I'm going to take you down very quickly onto the mat now before I take you over to the website so you can see the kits. These are the bracelets that we have for you today. So as I say, I've named them Trilogy, and they are love knot bracelets. There is lots of different colours, and in your kit, when you choose whichever kit you want, so for example, if I wanted this beautiful teal coloured one, I'll be making up to 3 bracelets in each of the kit today, and they're a fantastic price of just $4.99. So you're going to be able to make 3 of your lovely bracelets. Is my screen on? Am I sharing it? Good morning, Joanne. How are you doing? She's in a wet and chilly Coventry. Yeah, freezing out today. So these are the bracelets. So you can see we've got some lovely spacers. I'm using 2 sizes of the spacer, and they come in a gold version or a silver version. I'm using the memry wire, which, as you can see, holds its structure, which means you can put a clasp on this if you want to. I'm just turning loops at the end, so you can add on a little clasp if you wanted. I'd probably go for a magnetic clasp, to be fair. However, you don't need to. They just hook on like a bangle. You can see I'm making these lovely little twisted knots. Now, I have done these with you once before. I've done a double love knot, and we did those with some earrings, and I made little hoops with them. So you can see they're basically charms that you can add onto anything. You could add these onto necklaces, earrings. Today I've gone for bracelets with them. However, this time I've done it with a 3. That's why I've called it Trilogy. So you can see there's 3 little bands of loops that link in with each other, and they're really straightforward to make. All I would suggest, if you have got them to hand, is your bail step making pliers. I'm going to go for the second largest on this one to get that size. Of course, you can make them larger or smaller depending on how you make your coils, but you might want to do them with something else. So if you have maybe a small cylindrical kind of crochet needle, knitting needle, or a pen or something like that, bail step pliers I find are really useful because you've got the same consistency. So if I was to be using my round nose pliers, you would see they are tapered at the end and they get larger towards the handle. So if I'm turning the loops on here, it will slide down or move up, and then I won't have that same kind of size going all the way through my coils, which is what I want today. So that is why I'm using my bail step making pliers. Another useful tool I would suggest is some memry wire cutters or some heavy duty cutters. I am going to be using just over 1 coil of the tempered steel in the memry wire, and as you can see, it's a coil like so it holds the shape of the bracelet. However, if I'm going to be using my normal jewellery making cutters on my flush cutters, because this is very hardened, it will start to put like little nicks in my pliers, which means my pliers are going to be dulled, and also they're not going to cut flush in the future. So if you've got some in your toolbox, or you have memry wire pliers, then that's what I would suggest to use. Before I got my memry wire pliers, I used to just use heavy duty ones from, you know, household toolbox. So I would suggest that you use something like that. You can as well, if you want to, have some nylon coated pliers or a wire straightener. I'm going to be using an 18 gauge or 1mm wire, and I find it's always best to start with my wire straightened. So you can see it might come on a coil like this, and it's a bit wibbly wobbly, and all I need to do is take my jaws of my pliers and run that through to smoothen it straight. You can, of course, if you haven't got them, use your fingers, use a cloth if you need to. There's lots of different types of wire straighteners. For me, these are the ones that I prefer, and you can see how much I prefer them because my tips are completely ruined, to be honest, but they still do the job. I'm missing a screw and all sorts, and I do have others, but these are my trusty ones. You might notice on my lives, a lot of the tools that I use are broken. You can see here I'm missing a spring. They still do the job that I need. I think it's important to invest in good tools, but you don't need a lot of fancy tools, expensive tools to make beautiful looking jewellery. So if you are a beginner and you are starting off, don't think, oh, I need to invest in this and I need to get that. I would say for your main tools, I'd always suggest some chain nose pliers, which are shaped like this. I would suggest some round nose pliers, some wire cutters, and I really love my kind of tweezer nose pliers as well. But these are not a necessity. This is just something I find useful. So that's kind of the housekeeping done. I'm going to take you over to the website now, and I will show you these in all their glory in the kits. So if we head over to totallybeads.co.uk, if I can share my screen for you. I don't think my computer's quite awake yet, and I know how that feels. Not that one, it's me now, that's user error. Where is the screen that I need? This one. Yay. Okay, so totallybeads.co.uk will be where you find your kits for these today. If you go into our video tutorial section, you can at any point change your currency to whatever you like, wherever you are in the world. And if you scroll down on this main page, you'll find the bracelets for today. They're called Trilogy Love Knot bracelets, and you can click into these and you can see you're getting in your kits. So it's a full green coloured one for you. I've got a grey, which gives me the kind of impression of like a white howlite, to be honest. It's got this lovely marbled effect, so it has like little veins running through it, predominantly white with these grey banding. They all have that kind of marbled effect, these beads. They're really lovely. I've got a lime green one for you as well, which is on the gold colourway. So you'll be getting your gold memry wire, your gold spacers, and the gold wire or the gold coloured wire to create those love knots. We've got the pink here as well, which is on the silver. So your silver will be on your memry wire, your wire to make the love knots, and also those spacer beads. I've got a gorgeous purple on the gold and a beautiful teal blue. I think I'm going to mix these colours up today. So I'll be showing you something that you could create if you were to multi-buy these kits. That means you'd be making 6 bracelets for less than £10. Here today, you're going to be making enough to have 3 bracelets in each of your kits, and the kits are just £4.99. So I'll show you in the kit what you get. You're going to get your gorgeous glass beads, your memry wire, your acrylic spacers, and your copper wire. If you'd like to see more details on those products that are included in your kit, you're going to get your 3mm acrylic gold round beads, your 4mm acrylic gold round beads, your memry wire, which is a 0.6, which means it's strong and sturdy enough, but I'm not fighting with it to turn the loops. And obviously all my beads fit onto it perfectly. The copper wire that we're using is a 1mm, which is an 18 gauge wire for those that use that American kind of wire gauge system. And then we've also got the marble glass beads. They're 6mm in size, so you can see a nice close up here of how those beads look. They're gorgeous. If I hover over one, you can see it's a gorgeous green colour with that beautiful marbled kind of banding effect. So it gives kind of luxurious look, I think, to these. And these love knots are really straightforward to create, and I'm going to talk you through that. Same in all of your other kits. The only thing that changes is your colour of your wire, essentially, and your beads. So you're going to get enough to make your 3 bracelets in this grey version. So again, still using the 1mm or 18 gauge wire for that, the 0.6 for the memry wire, and the 4 and 3mm spacer beads with the gorgeous 6mm marble beads. That, if you hover over, you can see how the banding looks on those ones. I'll show you them down on the mat as well in a little while so you can see. And then we have the lime, another lovely green colour. Bit zesty. I think it looks particularly lovely with that gold, and that is your marbled effect on those beads too. And we also have the pink. If there's anything extra you would like to buy, so say for example you think I'd really like this kit in the silver, I'm going to buy this kit, but I'd really like maybe some of the gold wire, or I would like some of the gold spacers, or a different colour of the beads. So you might be buying this kit and think, I really want to put this with the lime. I think that'd be really lovely actually, to do the pink and the lime together. So if you wanted to just add those into your basket, you can do there. You're going to get a full strands, loads of beads on those marble glass strands, and they're just £1.34. So all of our products are there. You can buy individually if you want to top up, or for example you might think, I've got memry wire, I'm just missing that one component. You could always add that and shop that way with us. This way here is the beautiful purple. I'm going to be using those today. Really, really gorgeous. And I've paired those with the gold, so you can see a nice close-up example of how those kind of knotted coils will work together. And lastly, we've got the gorgeous teal blue, and that is on the silver as well. And I'm going to be putting these in my make today. So these are predominantly blue with a little bit of green equals teal. So head over if you would like to get your kits. These are the Trilogy Love Knot bracelets. Each kit is £4.99, and it's making 3 lovely bracelets for you today in each of your kits. If you've got any questions at all, please drop me a comment and I will do my very, very best to answer it for you. I will get rid of that one. Say a quick hello to anybody who's just joined us. Thank you for being with me today. I've got lots of you in. Oh, Joanne said she had a very fine dusting of, and it's frozen. I'm guessing that's snow. I apologise if that, as usual. I only have people and builders turning up at the most inappropriate time. So where are we? Yeah, okay, there's Joanne. She says we did have a very fine dusting of snow last night, but it was just wet this morning. Oh, it looks pretty, doesn't it, when it snows? Good morning to Elaine. Hello to Mina. Hello to Yolanda. Joe's in as well. Anne's here. Hello, my lovely. And I've got everyone. So we'll head down on the mat and we will start making. Quick sneaky peek at the bracelets again. This is the teal on the silver. We've got the grey, which is our predominantly white ones. Hello, Izzy. How are you doing, my lovely? She says she's in an overcast Scotland. We've got this beautiful pink. The pink and the white would look gorgeous together. Sorry, the grey. We've got this lovely purpley colour, so they would look lovely together as well. I'm loving the zestiness of the lime, and I am loving this green. So these are our bracelets. They are, I would say, a one size fits all because we've got that memry wire. For me, because I've got quite small wrists, it does loop all the way around. However, you'll see it can open up. So you might, if you've got a larger size wrist, it might just sit a little bit open. But if you turn in those loops at the end, it's nice and safe. There's no sharp edges. And you could also stack these as well if you wanted to. So there are gorgeous bracelets. Let me take these off to the side and keep them out the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making my my memry wire coils. So I'm going to take the wire. You can use the gold or the silver. I might do a little bit of a mixed metal, to be honest. I would say for one coil, and you need 3 coils to make these love knots, you're going to be using about 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches in total. I'm going to take my, I'm not cutting it, you could do if you wanted to, but I'm just going to keep it on its kind of spool, so to say. It's not on a spool, but I'm just going to keep it all together. I'm going to straighten it out so I've got a nice straight edge to work with, and I'm going to take my pliers. So these are my bail step pliers. For the size that I'm looking for, I'm going to go for the second largest, and I'm going to position my wire in between the jaws of the pliers. So it's in between the big one and the second big one. And I'm just going to bring that wire around. So I'm supporting it with my thumb and just bringing it over the top. I'm just twisting my wrist ever so slightly to create that coil. So what that's doing is the wire is sitting on top of the last one. I'll go nice and close so you can see. And I'm going to coil that round, all the way round, until I've got 3 sitting in the middle. So I've got the one that I've started, 3 in the middle, and then that one at the top. I'm going to make sure that it's all nice and tight. And then I'm going to take it off. And then I'm going to come in with my normal jewellery wire cutters or my flush cutters. And I'm going to trim these bits off evenly. So this part here, I'm going to keep in line with this part here. So I'm just getting rid of that little tip or that little edge. And you see I've got 3 coils in between. So the wire is just moving on top of it. This is just like how we'd make a jump ring, essentially. You would coil it round and round and then saw it in the middle, and you've created a jump ring. So if you've got any extra little leftover coils, keep them because they're always useful. So I've used about 10 centimeters of my wire there, which is about 4 inches, I would say. And I'm going to do that 3 times. So again, I'm going to straighten out my wire between my pliers. I'm going to take my bail step making pliers, and I'm just going to hold that wire in between the jaws. Don't worry too much if it's sticking out. We're going to be cutting the end off anyway, but I'm guiding it round with my thumb and my finger. Now this time you'll notice I've done it and the wire's gone underneath, and that's okay. You can travel it underneath, but sometimes I feel like it moves out a little bit. What I would prefer is rather have the wire just traveling underneath. So the wire that I start with is sitting underneath and the wire is traveling above it. So I'll just show you that, what I mean again. So jaws of my pliers. I'm not pushing too hard between these. It's just keeping it in place. And I'm bringing that wire above. Moving down towards the bottom of the plier. Little rotations guiding it round. That wire is now moving above, and that's my second coil. That's my third coil. And all the way round again, just little rotations until I'm kind of in line with the last one, or the first one rather. Making sure I've got 3 in between. It's dark, I'm sorry. And then I'm just trimming it off. So I'm only cutting that last piece of the wire, and I want it so they're pretty much starting and finishing in the same place. And obviously this works with whatever colour that you've got. So jaws of my pliers, wire in, guiding it round, bringing that wire over the top. That is my first full coil, the second full coil. So I'm just kind of doing that motion really, just bringing it round. But I'm guiding it round just to make sure that they stay fairly close to each other. Got 3 in between. I'm going to just cut there and then just neaten up that end ever so slightly. So rather than cutting my wire into 4 inches, I'll keep it together, and then if I'm a little bit over or I'm a little bit under, I'm not wasted anything in that sense. So now I've got my 3 coils, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially screw them into each other. So I'm going to take one coil and another coil, and I'm just going to kind of separate out one of those bits. It might be a little wider anyway, but if you just push your nail in, you'll see you can, if I can get a little bit of focus, and all I'm going to do is just coil that round. So I'm keeping one still and I'm just twisting in the other. And what I want is I want those coils to sit inside. You can kind of press it down like a little spring just to tighten it back up again. So I've got 1 and 2 sitting next to each other. I'm now going to take my 3rd one and I'm going to attach that onto the other one as well. So again, just prise it open ever so slightly if you need to. We don't want to really distort that shape too much, but we just want to get enough space. I know my fingers and thumbs will be kind of covering over that. I do apologise if you can hear banging in the background. They're never there when you want them. So now I've got that one inside, and I'm going to give that a little twist all the way around. Keep screwing it around and around and around. And now I've got 3 linked together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this one into that one. So depending on which way you find it easier, sometimes I turn it round just so I can come up from the bottom. And sometimes I think it doesn't really matter, I can get it in from the top. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to push them together. So I want it kind of in the center. And I'm just going to catch, if I can try and talk you through it before I show you it, in case my fingers are in the way. I'm going to catch this one here into that one there. So sometimes it might be easier to come up from the bottom. Other times it just depends which way you've rotated it, really. So I'm just going to, in fact, I will do it that way because that one's already a little bit open. So I'm going to try and get a little bit of space between that one and that one. This bit can be a little bit fiddly just to begin with until it kind of clicks around it. And then again, I'm just twisting. So I'm rotating one. You can use your pliers if you need to, but you should be able to get enough purchase to just do it with your fingers. So holding on to that one and then bringing the other one round. If you need to use your pliers, just be careful you don't pull it out too much. If it's in the center, it should just slide on through. I'll be honest, this is probably the fiddliest one I've done, but it's probably because I'm trying to be under the camera and I'm trying to let you see what I'm doing. These, you'll notice, are springing out a little bit. So if I push them down, that's just going to give me room to create that twist inside. All the way round. Until you will see that goes round. Just keep twisting it until it fits inside. Now again, you can push the spring down. Let's come out. Let's do it again. You can just close that up a little bit, just squish it between your thumb and your finger. Let's do it again. So I'm lining it up, getting that little bit of space so I can hook one in between the last one. So pushing on them together until it hooks through, and then we just start to twist it. Keep twisting, keep twisting. There you go. And they will interlock. What I would sometimes do is just very lightly press down on that coil. And then what I want to do is I try to get the insides where the wire kind of finishes on the inside of the knot. So I'm just kind of moving it around with my fingers really until I've created that little coil shape. So we want the insides of it, or where the wire finishes, to just sit inside of each other. And then you've created that little love knot trilogy component. Give a little press down if it's opened up a bit. And then you have this little component. I'm going to use that as a little bead, and I can add that onto earrings. I could add it onto a necklace. I could make multiples of them, and I could have a few of these on my bracelet. Really doesn't matter what you use them for. They're just really, really pretty. Now I can start to thread them on to my project, so my bracelet in this case. So I'm going to get my memry wire out. It has just coiled in on itself there. So your memry wire will come like this. It's a coil, essentially, like a big coil. So it looks a bit like a slinky. All I want to do is just have over one full coil. So you can see where this finishes here, where that meets this bit would be one coil. I want to do about a centimetre over. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm in position to where I want to cut. So I'm going to cut round about there. So that would be one full coil. I'm going to go slightly over for a centimetre. Of course, I'm going to be using my memry wire cutters. And you can see I've got that full circle with that little bit extra. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a little loop. So I might want to use my round nose pliers or my bail step making pliers with this, doesn't matter. I'm just going to turn a little loop. So I'm just going to position it as normal in between the jaws, the pliers that I'm going for. Little rotation into almost like a P type shape. And then I'm just going to center that loop by popping my pliers in and giving it a little knock backwards. So I've got now that small loop. And then I'm going to start threading on my beads. So in total, I think I used 16 of the marble 6mm beads, 16 of the 3mm spacers, and 16 of the 4mm spacers. You can arrange the beads on your bracelet however way you want. I'm only going to turn a loop on one end for now, just so it's going to hold my beads in place, but I'm going to probably mix up the colours today. So I'm going to go for that lovely purple colour, and then I'm going to take a small 3mm spacer, and I'm just threading that onto the ends. And then I'm going to take the larger spacer and add that on, and just slide them all down towards the end of that loop. I'm then going to take another one of my marble 6mm beads, and then I'm going to go for the large spacer and then the small spacer. So I'm going to alternate between the beads like this. I'm going to finish with the larger bead up against that loop just to hold it all in place, and then going to continue to add my beads until I work towards the center, because I'd like to add my knot into the center, I suppose. Now I'm going to do a small one and then a larger spacer, and I'm alternating them so you can see I've got the two large beads next to that one, two small beads next to that one. A large spacer, so it's next to framing that bead, and then the small one. Then I'm moving back to that lovely purple colour. We're going for the small spacer, just threading them onto the memory wire. I'm not pulling on the memory wire too much. I don't want to get, I don't want to lose the shape. It does hold its shape, but you can kind of force it out of position. I want it to keep that nice structure and that nice rounded shape. I'm going to add 8 beads in total. I thought I was, because I'm going for the centre, but I was just checking. So I'm going to do a mix of the colours. Obviously, if you buy the Trilogy Love Knot bracelet, whichever colour you choose, you'll get enough to make 3 in your kits. So they will all be whatever colour you've gone for, whether it be this lovely teal or the lovely purple. If you wanted to multi-buy, of course, you could do so, and you can mix your colours up, or if you just want to add in some extra beads into your order, you can do that as well. So adding on my beads, and that should mean I'm finishing with the large and then a small spacer. And that should roughly take me into the centre of my bracelet. So if I push them all the way around, you can see that's about the centre now. I'm going to pick up my love knot. You can see they're all intertwined. And I'm going to find a little space at the side of one of the points. So in between where they link, I'm just going to push my memory wire through, and then I want it to come out the other side. So if I push down, you can see if I'm pushing down on the knot, it will open up the links ever so slightly. And I'm just coming through between, so that memory wire is running through the center of the knot. And I'm going to push it right up so that little spacer bead also sits inside of the knot. You won't see the smaller one. And then I'm going to work my design backwards. So I'm going to go for the small bead, and then the 4mm spacer. I'm going to add on my 6mm marble spacer, another marble bead, a large spacer, a small spacer, a marble bead, but I'm alternating the colour, small spacer, large spacer, marble bead, which is 6mm, and then just continuing to add until I work my way round to the other side. So just keep feeding the beads on and just pushing them down towards the loop. Am I frozen? I think there's just a delay. So large, small bead, small, large, and I'm going to finish with my lovely marble bead. Again, I apologise if you can hear any noise and disturbance in the background. So the reason why I've cut just over 1 full coil, I love those colours together, and I've got that extra centimetre, is because I want to turn another loop on the other side. What I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to just bend the loop, the wire, the memory wire to the side. That's going to mean I can centre my loop. I think that's a little bit larger than what I need. I only need about 1 centimetre. So I'm going to come in again with my memory wire cutters and just trim off any excess that I don't need. And then I'm going to support that bead between my thumb and my finger and take my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to turn a loop like I usually would. Now, the joy about using the 6mm wire, the 0.6, sorry, is that I can turn a loop quite easily and I'm not fighting with it. I usually say to turn in the direction of the memry wire. What I mean by that is you can see it normally curves over in this direction, like where it's moving naturally. And I would usually turn it in the direction it's naturally traveling in, and then tip it up. But what I don't want really for this design is I don't want the loops facing inwards, because when it's worn then on your wrist, it won't be uncomfortable. But can you see there on my wrist how it's facing down? If I'm turning it to the side in this direction, again, just centering it. So popping my round nose in, turning it all the way around till it touches on itself, and then just knocking it back. Can you see how the loop faces the other way? So this is the way if I turn it in the direction of the wire. This is if I turn it on its side. And then when I pop it on, it will sit flat against my wrist instead. So that's why when I've finished on this sample, let me just cut to show you again. By bending the wire first into an almost 90-degree angle, when I turn my loop, I don't need to straighten it, it's sitting in that direction. So if you wanted to, you could add a little clasp. You could add a magnetic clasp onto that. You could add a lobster clasp onto it, but it feels comfortable enough to just hook on. If you need it to be larger, of course, it's just going to sit a little bit more open at the back of your wrist. But there is, I think, quite a nice size on that in terms of the movement. And of course, you can twist these. So I would say push your beads up. I could have done with pushing that a little bit wider. So what I'm going to do, I just want to make sure that those small spaces sit inside and then there's less wiggle on that. So I am going to just tighten that up a little bit. I'll make that loop a little bit bigger on the other side too. And let those sit a little bit more snugly together. Sorry, I might not even be in shot there. So this is my Love Knot bracelet, my Trilogy Love Knot bracelet. I've used a mix of colours in the gold finish here. So this is the teal and the purple. Your kits are a fantastic price of £4.99 today. And they are making 3. So we have this lovely colour here on the silver, which is your teal blue. We have this gorgeous colour, which is described as grey, but I would say it's predominantly white, and that is on the silver. And you can see you can flip and twist those little love knots round as well if you like. We have the purple on the gold. We've got the pink on the silver. We have the lime, which is a beautiful green. And we also have the green, which is a deeper green. I think they'd look beautiful mixing those beads together. They're both on the gold. So I just think they're a nice little component that you can make really easy. I say for each coil, I'm going to be using about 4 inches of the 18 gauge or 1mm wire. So what's that, 12 inches in total, or about 30 centimeters for 1 knot. So you're using minimal components, and I think, well, these can represent anything. If it's a trilogy, a love knot is not just about romantic love, it can be about platonic friendships, it can represent family. And I think as we're approaching Valentine's, it might be nice to create something which isn't obviously heart and love themed, just something a little bit pretty and delicate, a nice little feature component that you can add into any of your jewellery. Oh, thank you, Rani. Rani says it's so lovely. Mina says beautiful bracelets. Fairness Born says I love these. I will have a go with the knot. And what size do I make for? I'm not sure what your question is, Yolanda. If you're wanting to make them smaller, I mean, in terms of, I don't know what the circumference is on my wire. If you are wanting to make them smaller though, so obviously this is not a full coil now, I've been cutting into this, but it's still going to keep that shape. So what I would suggest you do is, if you want it smaller, cut a smaller coil and maybe attach a little clasp. You could turn it in and you can kind of bend that wire a little bit, and you can see it's smaller again now. So you can kind of position the tempered steel into a tighter coil, which will make a smaller bracelet. But I think if you just add a little clasp onto this, you can hook a jump ring through to those little loops you've created. That's obviously going to draw it in. So you can use that one size of memry wire to make either much smaller bracelet like this, or a much larger bracelet by just having it more open at the ends. So I hope that was what you were asking. I hope I've answered it okay. Mina says the mix of colours is lovely. I can't wait to order the kits. Thank you so much. I think I've answered everything. Izzy says so pretty and lots of colour options to mix and match. I might have to get them. Mina says she wants all the kits. Very pretty, says Kath. Thank you very much. Joanne says, so do I. I mean, they are a bargain price today. Always make sure that, you're shopping to your budget. But each kit is going to make 3 bracelets up today, and they're a fabulous price of just $4.99. So if you would like to make them, head over to totallybeads.co.uk and you can find them under Trilogy Love Knot Bracelets in our video making categories of the tutorials. Oh, Rani says I sent page, but my request hasn't been accepted. It's not me, that's admin. I would like to be admin on it, to be honest, because I think I'm on it all the time anyway. So, but I will chase that up for you, Rani, today, and I will ask that we accept you into the group. We do have to approve people just to make sure that, not that everyone's legit, but that, well, everyone's legit, and there's no like scams and spam and stuff on there. So it does need to be approved, Rani, but I will chase that up for you as soon as we finish this, and hopefully we'll have you in by the end of the day. So I'm going to be back with you on Monday. A bit of a change of scenery on Monday though. I'm going to be in the delightful Colchester, which is a long way from me. I was going to say upstairs. I'm up north in Merseyside. This is my humble abode, which is like Liverpool way. But I'm going to go to Colchester, which is where Kitty lives, and the warehouse is in Clacton-on-Sea, which is near Essex. So I'm going to be heading down on Friday, and on Monday, before I come back home, I'm going to be doing a little live for you from there. It should probably be quite a quick live because I've got a train to catch, but we're going to be making some gorgeous bracelets. What did I name the bracelets? I named the bracelets, if you want to have a sneaky peek, if you go on to YouTube, you'll see scheduled lives. Reenie, I've named them. They're really, really lovely. I'm using unusual connectors I've not used before to create a gorgeous chain look. I don't think I've got one to hand. I think I've put it ready to take with me because I've not quite packed yet. But yeah, if you can come and join me then on Monday, you do need to be patient with me because I can't really work Kitty's settings on the computer. Hopefully she'll be about and she'll be able to help me if it all goes awry. And then on Wednesday, what we do in Wednesday, on Wednesday next week, I'm still going to be back with you. Oh, I've got some heart slider bracelets. So we're going full Valentine's theme on Wednesday. Gorgeous little heart bracelets. Really, really lovely. And they are slider bracelets too, which are one of my favorite jewelry kind of components to use at the minute. I think when you're not sure of size and things, then they're a great one to have. The hearts I'm using are plated hematite as well. They're really, really gorgeous. So if you can come and join me next week, I would be delighted to have your company. Until then, I will see you next week and have a lovely, lovely weekend ahead. Take